I don't know if this is sacrilegious, but I do not like that costume that she wears.
It's okay. It's
the shoulder pads.
The shoulder pads are bad. Yeah.
I do not enjoy.
And trust me, as a Jean Grey fan, I know about some shoulder pads. And those are bad.
Welcome back, everyone, to another relaunch. Hello, I am Keenan.
And I am LZ.
How are you doing today, LZ?
I'm good. You know, it's been a chill day today. I've been catching up on, I've been reading a bunch of like old comics and I've been catching up on my backlog of stuff.
Okay.
And I have grown an even deeper love for Jon Stewart. I'm sorry.
Oh,
he's great. Yeah.
As if
he's fantastic.
Anything else.
I know, but like I've been reading these old books and they really like emphasize how much he really like wanted to show that he was a Green Lantern and a Black Green Lantern, and I really appreciated all that. It's been awesome.
Are you gonna read the Future State books he has coming?
I am. I'm gonna jump back into that. I haven't really been pulling any DC books right now, so
that's valid.
I'm gonna jump back in with Future State though.
Okay, well that's exciting.
I've also jumped into Daredevil, the most recent run. Yeah, I saw some stuff about Elektra, and that's my girls.
I remember we were talking about it. I told you like you should definitely be reading this run.
Yeah, I finally jumped into it, and I'm only like a few issues in so far, like maybe like issue 3, I think, and it's good.
Okay.
Matt be going through
it. He's got such a sad life, man.
He be going through it.
It's like I said, it's why I gotta like kind of just go back to a Daredevil run sometimes. It's like this man is depressing and it is making me sad.
Yeah, they put him through the ringer.
Okay. With that, let's go ahead and get into these comics for the week. Now, I didn't realize this week made me realize that I kind of have to redo my pull list.
Okay.
I think I have too many comic books. Actually, that's not true. Because I don't think I can ever have too many comic books. I think what it is I realize I have too many comic books that I don't enjoy.
Oh,
and I know we're going to talk about it a little bit later, but there's a lot of stuff coming out soon and some new books that are happening that I want to check out. And I've kind of gotten to the point where it's like, there are too many things that I can and do enjoy for me to continue to make excuses and keep on to the things that I'm not really into that much.
Yeah, so, sometimes you got to slim that list down a little bit, and
because these things are expensive. All right,
they can get there. Yeah.
All right. So, well, first up, Taskmaster 2. You were reading this miniseries, weren't you?
So I wasn't at first, and I remember the last time that we were recording and talking about this, you were like raving about it, and I'm a Taskmaster fan.
Okay.
I think he's a lot of fun, and I think his powers are fun, and he kicks ass. So I decided to jump back into this too.
All right.
I decided to join on, and I'm in. This is a lot of. I like this book a lot.
It was really good. So again, for issue 1, Maria Hill is dead, and Taskmaster has basically been framed for the murder. So Nick Fury Jr. knows that Taskmaster didn't do it, so he's like trying to help him get away. He's like running from Black Widow, and they're sending all of these heroes. So for this issue, Hyperion comes to get Taskmaster, and they fight. And so Hyperion, for those who don't know, is basically like Marvel Superman,
pretty much, yeah.
And
I mean, there was the Squadron Supreme, which is Marvel's literally their version of the Justice League.
Yeah.
It's like whenever they want to make the joke about a Justice League member, they'll just use a Squadron Supreme.
Yeah, it's just like they're there. Yeah. And so what I did like about this issue is so they fight, and this issue, the fight goes how you would expect a fight between like Superman and anyone to be. I know everyone likes to do a versus thread where it's like, oh, Superman versus like Rogue, and they're like, oh, well, if Rogue touches him, or if someone has this kryptonite bullet, it's like, no, you don't have all that, you're not doing that, you're not beating Superman, he is going to kill you. And the thing about Hyperion is, again, he is not Superman. So yes, he is going to kill you. And so he is fighting Taskmaster this entire time. And there's a little bit of back and forth between the past and the present. You see Taskmaster prepping for the fight and the actual fight happening. And of course, during the actual fight, Hyperion is just like beating into him senselessly. It is so funny because like the entire time Taskmaster is still like making these jokes like, oh, I gotta let him think I'm slipping, or he thinks he has me here, and it's like, no, but I actually do it. And it's like, no, he punches him, and Taskmaster's like, all right, I'm gonna die. And it's just like it's like, this is a really good book. I love Jed MacKay, he's the writer, and the artist is Alessandro Vitti, and it's just a great duo.
It's a really great duo. I really appreciate the call out about the Squadron Supreme and how there have been a lot of appearances of versions of the Squadron Supreme, kind of like what we just said earlier, that they are the Marvel's Justice League whenever they kind of want to make the joke about any kind of Justice League member. But every time that they've ever used them, it's always been a different squadron from different universes and stuff. And I like that in this, they kind of pointed that out where he was like, you know, which Hyperion am I getting? They were like, we don't know because we pulled them from so many different universes. And the point of all of this entire mission for Taskmaster has been he needs to like memorize the body form of these 3 different spies. And one of them is Agent Coulson. And I know people mostly know Coulson from, you know, the Avengers movies and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And Coulson is a super fan, kind of like a Ms. Marvel, where he is big into all of that. And he goes to go pick up his comic books and calls on Hyperion or whatever, because Taskmasters gets made in the comic book store. And that entire fight sequence was awesome. I
also love that they fought in a comic book store. Like,
I know, right?
That was really fun. It was like
because I noticed that the artist Alessandro Vitti, in that comic book shop, he has X-Men comics in the background.
And everybody, that
was really cool. Yeah. This was a really awesome book. I'm in. I want to know how he is going to, you know, keep going with this. I wish this wasn't just a mini series. I wish this wasn't ongoing. Black Widow is chasing after him, and we know that Black Widow always makes her target, so I don't know what's going to happen.
And I'm excited for when Jed finally actually gets to like write her. I'm interested to see what he does with her voice.
Yeah,
that'll be fun. Okay, well, I don't know if you read this, but I definitely read this. Black Cat #1 came out.
Oh, okay. I have not read this. I was going to jump into this one as well because I did like the last series, but I didn't finish the last series. So I was like, okay, I want to finish the last one first before I jump into this one. But
so the last series, again, it still was also written by Jed MacKay. It did have Travel Foreman on art. This new series has CF Villa. But again, Jed MacKay is like quickly rising on my list. If he continues going on like the way he has with these characters that he's written, he does just an amazing job. This first issue is a King in Black tie-in, which, you know, King in Black is happening all over the place, I guess. And so it puts Black Cat in this space where she has to pull a heist of something that got stolen while like Null was taking the heroes and all of that stuff. And so I think it's really great because it's fun, and she also talks a lot about how, you know, I'm a street. She says it in the comic book. She's like, "Is this Venom stuff? Like, I don't want to do this." It's like she kind of has the voice of the readers, which is fun. And then like there's also moments where she talks about like, "Oh, this seems like space stuff. Like, I don't do that. I'm not a cosmic girl. Like, this isn't where I'm at." And it's just very well written. It's a really good book. It's a great jumping on point. It's resilient. She's crafty. It's fun. Black Cat is everything.
Okay, are you becoming a Felicia Hardy stan?
I am. Like, okay. And so I think I've said this before, but Black Cat was always one of those characters that I kind of saw on the side, and she had all the makings of someone who I feel like I would enjoy, but I just never really got into her. You know, all I knew about her is that like she likes to steal stuff, and she wanted to have sex with Superman. I mean, not Superman, Spider-Man. And, you know, and that was her thing. She was just like, I'm horny and I just want to steal. And it's like, okay, I get that. Like, I'm here for it. But, you know, going back and reading this series, you get like a really good sense of Felicia, and she's just a really interesting character. So yeah, like she's moving up. She's definitely moving up. So that's that. Next up on my list is We Only Find Them When We're Dead, number 4. Now I know you're not reading this. This is an
I haven't
Ewing
jumped
book.
in now. This one I haven't jumped into yet.
So I know the third issue was a little blasé for me. This one picked it back up.
Okay.
It's just one of those things that Ewing does really, really well. His tone, like it's something I don't know about that man. Like I don't know if he just reads nothing but horror stories or like he's a little crazy or something, but he does like creepy, stressful tension very great, very well. And it's just
I got a taste of that in his Immortal She-Hulk that came out a few months ago. And that was, I still haven't jumped into the Immortal Hulk yet. That's also on my list. But that book was both fun but like creepy at the same time. And like yeah, he's good.
It's good. So this you know, it's a Boom book, an indie book. It's a good series. I always recommend people try and check those out, especially Boom. They've had like a really good few years as a comic book company. So
yeah,
they're dope. And speaking of, next on the list was Immortal Hulk number 41. Now again,
all right.
Again, I'm not going to sit here and talk about this. We are 41 issues in, okay?
And it's still hitting like this.
It's still hitting like this. It is good. So there was actually this issue, and then there was another one shot that was a King in Black tie-in. And I will say that the King in Black tie-in made me very excited for the King in Black tie-in that's going to happen in Sword.
Oh.
Now, again, I'm not really a fan of King in Black or whatever it's supposed to be about or whatever it's doing, but Ewing knows how to mix an event into his story. He did it really. Did he? He did it in the Ultimates when they had like Civil War II, and he actually made that like pretty interesting, which was very hard to do for Civil War II. And
his Carol was great in that too, actually, which we all know how it was during Civil War II.
It was not a good time for her. So he just keeps that momentum up here. It's a good book. It's, if you like horror, if you like mayhem, you kind of see Hulk in this weird, depowered, frail space, and he's like asking for mercy, and it's just like, oh wow, like you've never seen the Hulk like this before. He fights the Thing in this issue as well. So as a Fantastic Four fan, the Thing does make a guest appearance. And
they fight often. They have that little match fairly often now.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, they just had it in Fantastic Four earlier this year. Slot had them fight for his nostalgia purposes.
You know, is the Thing supposed to, like, I get the Thing is supposed to be strong, but is he supposed to be like, does he get stronger or something?
He doesn't get stronger, but I always think that they show him fighting the Hulk to show that he is like up there in strength. Do you know what I mean? Like he's not a Hulk level character like that.
But he can fight the Hulk.
He's up there, but he's up there, yeah.
Okay, I guess that makes sense. I'm always kind of like confused about Ben Grimm and how strong he's supposed to be and what he's supposed to do. He's just a bunch of rocks.
Yeah, I've always think he's in that 100-ton rank.
Oh, okay. Well, that's exciting. So he fights the Thing. It's actually a really nice fight. They like talk afterwards, and he kind of gets some insight. It's just a good book. It's 41 issues in. You guys got to read it. The next book I have on my list is 7 to Eternity number 15. This is another indie book, Remender and Opina. This book's a little hard to explain if you've never actually read it.
It seems to still be coming out like on a regular schedule now.
So we're actually getting to the end. This is issue 15, and the book is going to end at 17, I think, or 18 altogether. So we're like getting to the end of the story. So it's also kind of hard to explain because I do know some people who are going to start reading it, and I kind of feel like if I tell you what's going on, it's going to spoil it for them. Unless they're okay, then I'll talk about it next week, which is fine. But it's a beautiful book. It's very well written. I think this is one of the better stories that Remender has done. And I also kind of like, even though it's taken a while for it to come out, you can tell he's telling the story that he wants to tell. It's not. He's not being rushed. He took his time. He started out. I feel like the landing's gonna stick. I'm excited to go to the end of it.
That's dope. Okay.
X-Force number 15. Now, I did not read this.
Oh, you didn't? Okay, I did.
So I won't lie to you. I've been casually keeping up with X-Force.
Okay.
Like via Marvel Unlimited and stuff like that. But which issue was the Domino-centric issue?
Oh man, I think that was early on, like maybe 6 or 7.
Oh yeah, that's when I dropped the book.
Oh wow. Okay. All right.
So tell me what's going on in X-Force.
Okay, I enjoy X-Force. You know, this is a top 3 X book for me.
Okay. Is it because of G?
I mean, I'm sure she has got something to do with it. Most definitely. But I've also I like the story that's being told there as with the whole mutant CIA thing and the way that everyone's morals are kind of being tested in this book. I like what's being built over there. So this issue, you have the continued interrogation of Colossus. He had been interrogated the previous issue where Beast wanted to have a interrogation in front of everybody and like put him on trial, basically. And
I recall seeing some stuff about that.
Yeah, and obviously Jean and Wolverine objected to that, and Jean said, I'll just do a telepathic probe because they want to know what is going on with the Sphero sword and why like Mikhail has it.
Okay.
So they get to the bottom of it and they are learning some things about the Omega Red who was involved.
Okay.
And
I like Omega Red.
You also may like what's coming next because it looks like vampires are going to be involved.
So I know that the vampires were a big part of the first arc of Wolverine that Percy writes. So I've just been waiting for them to come back. I just assumed it was going to happen in Wolverine, but if it's going to happen in X-Force, I actually might have to come back.
Yeah, so like something kind of circled back to Wolverine. I'm sorry, to Omega Red and the vampires, and I think that's what's kind of coming next. Then they also kind of show Krakoa kind of like coughed up something and like something kind of like sprouted, and something's going on with Krakoa, and these like creatures are kind of crawling up onto Krakoa. It looks like there is going to be a King in Black tie-in.
Of course there is.
Yeah, so we'll see what's coming up next. I am really enjoying this book. I like the kind of the waterbender girl that Colossus is dating in this book. I think
I saw some fantastic couple. Of her. I love a hydrokinetic.
Yeah, I think she's awesome. The two of them make a better couple than him and Kitty Pryde. and this is all we've really seen. So I'm here for that. I've been enjoying X-Force a lot. So I think people should continue to pick it up. I think what Percy's doing over there has been a lot of fun. There's some like weight to it. There's a weight to it, and a lot of the kind of the moral compass of everyone involved is being kind of tested, and I like to see that in a character.
Well, that's nice. So is Jean still on the team? I thought she like left.
She left after this probe, actually. She saw Beast kind of tinkering in his head, knowing the information that they knew about Omega Red and what she kind of found out about his involvement, and she was like, I'm not gonna get involved in this, let me bounce. And she was like, I already know that Beast is thinking of something, and I don't even want to be involved when he's about to
he'll become like a really bad guy.
I think people are just seeing that Beast thinks that he is, just smarter than everybody else. So why wouldn't he be right, is what he thinks.
Wow, he's really, him and Reed Richards are like
I'm my kindred spirits. The Illuminati. Everybody on the Illuminati kind of thinks that.
The fall of Beast. It's gonna be really interesting to see where they take that, because it's been built up since about Decimation. I feel like is when it really kind of started going down that path.
I would say so. And I think it only kind of heightened when he brought the '05 back.
Yeah, I was about to say then Bendis like really hyped it up with the '05, and now we've got this going on. You know, he is Dark Beast at this point. And I think that's really interesting. And it's going to be kind of interesting when we get to the point where everybody's got to say, all right, stop.
Right. I'm sure there'll probably be like a trial of Beast or something.
Yeah, we need it. So, well, that's good. The last book on my list is one that I was very excited to talk about. It's New Mutants 13 from Vita Ayala, who is the new writer on the title, and we get the return of Rod Rice.
So I jumped back into New Mutants now because Vita is the new writer.
Same. That was me.
And I really like this book. I enjoyed it a lot. I didn't really laugh as much as I thought I was going to. You know, Hellions is so far as the only book to actually really make me laugh out loud like that.
Agreed.
Some of the jokes in this book didn't really land for me, but I enjoy the premise of where they're taking this, you know, with the New Mutants now being older and everyone being back on Krakoa. You kind of don't know where to take them, you know, because it's like, what do you do with, you can't make them X-Men again. You can't really rehash a bunch of old stories. And they've been teachers before, but this time it seems like they're are going to be like kind of counselors.
Yeah, they felt more like mentors a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that's dope where you can kind of have the New Mutants teaching the new X-Men and all these other, you know, fresh faces on Krakoa.
And it's great because it really gives the sense of like, this is how you keep all the generations of mutants around. And it's like kind of like incorporate them in, let them see. I really enjoy the aspect of mutant combining their powers. Something I don't really understand why we don't always see in X-Men comic books. So I'm really so I'm glad that it's being such a big deal in this era. You know, we've seen it with the 5, we got it with the 6 and Sword. Again, we see it here where they're actually combining their abilities. Some of the combinations I didn't really understand.
Yeah, there are a few combinations that I didn't quite understand how those powers really linked that way, or at least maybe I viewed the way that their powers worked differently than the way that they did in this book. But maybe I was just wrong.
But I enjoyed the idea behind it, and I'm excited to see more of it. Because I think when we get combinations of powers, it always works well. I think, you know, Rogue is always kind of the catalyst of the character who you can do that with the most. And they show it, I think of, and especially when Carrie was on the X-Men, he loved to have her take everybody's powers, and she used it in really creative ways. I think about when she took Emma and Scott, she turned to a diamond, like shot the laser through her hand, refracted on everybody. Like, that was a great moment. So it's going to be super fun to see all of these new young characters who don't get to use their powers that much, and what we can do with them.
And their combinations, I remember earlier in this series, in the X-Men, the captains, Cyclops and Magic, like using their powers together, where she would open a bunch of those portals against the Brood. That was really cool. So I really hope we get some cool combinations as they are, like, you know, training these kids. It was also really cool to see a different kind of origin for the Shadow King.
Yeah. I was,
you know,
so, you know, I love the Shadow King. All right.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
I know you love
that.
him.
Like that's a top 5 right there. So this little origin and kind of revamp of him and him being on the island, I was so into that. I'm obviously a little confused to kind of like what's going on and how he's there. And I know we saw Shadow King once already in Krakoa. He was in that Empire tie-in issue.
Yes, when all the psychics. And
Yeah, but I remember everyone saying they thought that was an artist error because we never saw him again. And so now
didn't we also saw him, I think, during House of X and Powers of 10, when I think towards the end when Xavier was inviting everyone back to Krakoa. I believe we saw him walk through that villain gate when all the villains kind of heard him and Selene and Exodus and all of them. I think he was with them when they all kind of walked in together.
I'll have to go back. I just don't remember seeing it. I'm pretty sure you're right. I remember being really upset because Frenzy walked in with all them. I was like, why she's still a villain? But no, so I'm really interested to see kind of like what he's doing, how he's on the island. Because obviously Shadow King being on the island is a pretty big deal, I feel like.
Yeah.
There's like too many people who I think would have an issue with that. Like even in
like
this
Storm
new world. Yeah, Storm, Betsy, Really just those two.
Polaris, she got taken over by Shadow King during the
Did
Mirror
she?
Island saga.
Oh, that's right, she did.
Yeah, he used her, like her
Oh,
mind to
Karma.
get. Yeah.
Also, he turned her fat.
That's right.
So it's like him being on the island. And again, I get it. Krakoa was supposed to be like the new start. Everybody's sins have been absolved, but it's like that's just one guy who I'm just kind of like, nah, I wouldn't be able to do it. Again, it's kind of like with Gambit and Apocalypse. It's like some of these people should be a little adverse to that. And so again, Shadow King's on there. Interested to see why he's got these 4 kids. If he's just mind controlling them, if they are genuinely kind of bonding with him, what's going on there?
I wonder if there's going to be some kind of, link to the way that he kind of like raised children on the street back in the day. Because I remember Storm kind of also had this similar tale of, being this like young, impressionable mutant that was unknowingly helping the Shadow King, So I wonder how that's going to work on Krakoa. And
Same.
Because is he still going to be looked at as the boogeyman now that he is on Krakoa,
I mean, I feel like even what we got, he was the boogeyman. Like,
yeah, he looked a little scary in this still, yeah.
Like, why we got to go through these woods all the way to this like cave and you in this corner? Like, this is creepy.
I also appreciated that Petra was in this book. I feel like we never not only see her, but because she's just an older character and everyone's back now, so she's on the table. But her power set is something we never really see from other X-Men.
A lot of people who control the Earth like that.
Yeah, so like we never really see geokinetics like that. So it was cool to see more characters with different types of powers.
I think it's also interesting that, I mean, I guess technically when that whole little crew of Secret X-Men died, they were all still younger teenagers.
Yeah, they were pretty young, yeah.
So I thought it was interesting that, they're still keeping her that young where she's kind of in. I wonder if she is that young, that's why she's in with the students, or if just because she didn't train that much, they put her there.
I couldn't figure that out either. I feel like it's probably because of an age thing. She seems to be that kind of the counterpart to Annual, it looked like in this book, where I feel like he's like not a kid anymore, but like much older than he was introduced. Probably now the same age as her when she died in that back then in Deadly Alliance. I think she's a little older, but we'll see. I'm into this.
This was great. It was great to have Rob Rice back on art too. He's fantastic.
Like, the art was fantastic. I am definitely back into the New Mutants again.
Agreed. Very much so. And we got Rainboy. Shout out to Rainboy.
Who is Rainboy?
He was the hydrokinetic.
I know he was in this, but like, who was he before? I feel like this is my first time ever seeing him.
He's a Milligan creation. He was on the team with Bling and Onyx.
Okay.
he was on Gambit's student squad. It was Rainboy, it was Bling, it was Onyx when Mystique was pretending to be Fox, so she could seduce him.
Okay.
Yes,
okay. That's a throwback. Okay. Wow. Okay. You know what? I appreciate, I guess, moments like that. Then on Krakoa, anybody you can bring.
Hey, anybody's here. Like, you gotta love it. Okay, and those were the comics. That was a lot of comics this week. This was a good week.
Yeah, it was a pretty solid week.
All right, well, let's take a little break and then we'll come right back.
Let's do it. All right, welcome back, everybody, to another relaunch. This is the discussion section, and there's some fun topics I wanted to get into right now. So first off, Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo are taking over Nightwing.
Good for him.
Number 78.
Good for
I'm
Nightwing.
excited for this.
Good for Nightwing.
I know. So I'm a Nightwing fan. He's a top 5 character for me. I love him.
Okay.
And he hasn't really had any like iconic runs.
No.
But he's had really great moments. So I'm excited for Tom Taylor to kind of take over, because if there's one thing Tom Taylor does, is he really gets a character's voice right.
Yeah.
Sometimes he may make things a little too light as far as like some of the jokes a little bit, but the characterization and the things that he adds to the character are always great. So I'm excited for him to kind of take over there. And the art is fantastic.
Yeah, Redondo is like probably one of DC's best artists right now.
Yeah, he's amazing. And the pages that they kind of showed as far as the preview goes have Nightwing saving this little dog, and it's adorable. So I'm already honestly, in.
I might give it a shot.
Okay. I was into this rebirth for Nightwing because his New 52 run was it was just whatever. And the rebirth run was, it started off all right, and then it kind of got a little.
Is this the one where he became like Rick and he like shaved his hair off or something like that?
So I dropped off well before that. And because the book was already like kind of going downhill, and then he got shot and had amnesia, and was going by Rick for a while, so that was bad. But it looks like things are back on track now. So I'm excited for this new Tom Taylor run to kick in with issue 78.
I think it'll be good.
So DC also announced that Bendis and David Marquez, who I'm a really big fan of, are taking over Justice League, and they have an entirely new team of members. Now, have you seen the artwork for this team?
I have seen the artwork. I saw the cover.
Were there any surprises for you?
Naomi, and I guess it shouldn't
be surprising for you.
I mean, I was about to say, I guess it shouldn't be because Bendis is writing it, so it's like
he's gonna bring his own character over.
Of course, he's gonna bring her over. I mean, but still, I'm still like kind of shocked about it a little bit because she's such a new character still, and I don't really feel like he told us enough about her in her little mini series yet to like really throw her in with these characters. But
that's kind of what I felt too. So the entire list of characters it's Green Arrow, Black Canary, Hawk Girl. It looks like Hippolyta.
Yes, I think that was her.
Black Adam, Naomi, Superman, Aquaman, and Batman.
Outside of Naomi, Black Adam was also pretty shocking. I don't think he's ever been a part of the League proper. I know he's been on the Justice Society.
No, I don't think so. Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see, especially like with him and Superman. They're such drastic.
Yeah, they definitely do not share the same ideals.
Like they're two completely different sides. It's also Hippolyta. If it is Hippolyta, that's pretty interesting, I guess. I wonder where Diana is.
I think that's random for me. Like,
that's why it's shocking. That's why I'm surprised. It's just kind of like, where'd she come from?
I also feel like, there are plenty of characters who DC has who he could have picked, who would have made better choices and who need the spotlight, like Vixen.
The roster's a little strange. It's different, which is like, I guess, always something you can appreciate from Bendis.
Oh yeah, and like I said, don't get me wrong. I understand creating a character and you're gonna put them on the Justice League because it's the one you made. So do it.
Okay, but Naomi, I know. Did you read her series that he wrote?
No.
So I read it. It's like fine. It's just so vague. Like you don't really know anything about her powers. They kind of tell you like she comes from a different planet or like a different universe or something like that, and like all these people are heroes and someone's kind of get her, but it's kind of like what actually, it's very vague. It's weird.
Yeah, I've seen some pages of it. That's kind of what made me not get into it, where I love the art because again,
beautiful art. Jamal
Campbell's drawing it, and the art is fantastic, but it just felt like it gave her this vague retelling of Superman's story because it was something that had to do with like her parents knew that the planet was also going to explode, and like then
they like sent her away, and then her
yeah.
I don't like her. I don't know if this is sacrilegious, but I do not like that costume that she wears.
It's okay. It's
the shoulder pads.
The shoulder pads are bad. Yeah.
I do not enjoy.
And trust me, as a Jean Grey fan, I know about some shoulder pads. And those are bad.
It's I don't know. I'm gonna give it a shot. There's gonna be a Justice League Dark backup in it, so I have to now at least buy the first few issues because there's not gonna be a Justice League Dark book anymore.
Yeah, so DC also announced that the Justice League Dark will now be the backup book in Justice League. So they're going to be combining these books into two. Now, how do you feel about that?
I don't really like it.
Do you think that's something we should start doing? Should certain books kind of double up and be backups for each other?
So I think about something like Brian Wood's X-Men run, the all-women run, and how he had the backup story with the new X-Men in it.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
That was fun. If it was something like that kind of ties into the main story or like helps drive that and you get like a couple of different characters, yeah, I'd totally be into something like that. But if I'm buying something that's basically just two different books, I don't want that, especially if I don't think I'm going to enjoy something. I wouldn't buy a X-Men book to read X Factor.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
No, I wouldn't want that either.
And so it's just kind of like, I can understand where it might be appealing. I can understand, again, if it somehow ties into like the main story, you're just using like other characters. Like I think of even New Mutants. I think about how it was switching back and forth between the space team and the kids early on. I feel like the kid segment, that could have just been the backup after the space section.
That's fair. Yeah. Do you remember when they were kind of doing this with Justice League during the New 52, where there was a Justice League story and then there was a backup Shazam story?
Yes, I do. And Johns was writing it, right?
And Johns was writing it, yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember there being some talk about that kind of supposedly leading into a Shazam solo book, but it just never happened.
Yeah.
Do you think that these should be more of like, launching pads for potential solo books?
I don't think I would mind that. Again, I guess it would just have to see how it was done. Even I think of the Shazam backups. That was actually pretty good.
I like those Shazam backups. Yeah. And they had nothing to do with the Justice League book that was going on in it, but it was really good. And you got to see more of Shazam and Billy and all of his friends and everything. So sometimes I think the backups can work. But
I'm conflicted now. I guess for me, it would really just come down to it's like, what am I interested in? And like, how big is the backup? Because those were only like 8 pages.
That's fair. From what I read so far about this Justice League and Justice League Dark, it's going to be like double sized, where instead of one issue, it's literally 2 issues together. And I guess the Bendis and the other writer for the Justice League Dark were saying that they might cross over. They'll have their own stories, but there will be times where they actually cross over and have, moments where they are connected with each other.
I'll see. I'll test it out.
I'm sure from a sales standpoint, maybe this was a better option for instead of completely canceling one book, you might as well just double them up together.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I would say that that's valid. I don't think, but that's also the thing I think about DC in general. They kind of give their books like a long shelf life, even when they're not doing that well sales wise. They keep it going. So
they do keep them going, yeah.
So I could definitely understand just saying, "Oh yeah, we're just going to combine this." But again, I kind of just get to the point where it's like, what if I'm getting this double-sized issues of something I'm not going to read? Like, I specifically want the Justice League Dark story. I don't want to have to feel like I'm skipping ahead of the first book just to get to that. I think it's something I was doing with Iron Man, I was like buying these issues of Iron Man. I do not like Iron Man. I do not like Tony Stark. I simply wanted to read about Hellcat. And so here I was like buying this book consistently and kind of skipping through it and only reading these pages with this one character that I wanted. And it was just like, oh, wow, this is a waste of money. And so it's like, I can just wait till this comes out on Marvel Unlimited or something and just read it then. But and that's just how I kind of feel like about this. Like if I have to buy like 2 books, it's just, do I want to read both of these books in one issue?
Who knows? Maybe you might get into the other book. You know, maybe they're trying to see if you might like, or any book that ends up like doubling up like this going forward. Because I wonder if this is going to become like a thing. You know,
Is
if this does
the
well.
does it have a higher price? Is it like $3.99, $5.99?
I'm not
You
sure.
know?
They haven't really talked about that part because this is all coming out in March because DC's doing a DC Infinite Frontier like initiative. It's
Oh,
their
post future state. Yes.
yeah, it's their post future state. So the current writer for Flash, Joshua Williamson, is going to be writing this DC Infinite Frontier book, and it'll also be featuring stories from Scott Snyder, Jeff Johns, Becky Cloonan, Joyce Tinian, Joel Jones, a bunch of other writers, and they're going to be setting up some storylines and everything for post death metal.
So I saw some death metal.
I know.
I saw the covers and a couple of images from it. I looked into some of the articles. It sounds good. I did get to the March solicits for DC, and it didn't really seem as exciting as I thought it was going to be from the article. There's still a lot of Batman stuff.
And a lot of Batman stuff.
There's still a ton of Batman stuff. I did think Harley Quinn might be one that I might look into just because of the artist. Riley Rossmo is doing the art for her book, and like I just really enjoyed his art. But a lot of the other, I'm still waiting for some other announcements. The Teen Titans books don't really sound that interesting to me.
Teen Titans Academy, is that what it's? Yeah. I love an academy. So I'm gonna try it out to see if it's giving the kind of academy that I like it to give, or if it's just,
it hurts me because like the Teen Titans is one of my brands. Like that is one of the teams that I have like followed and I've really gone up for. And it's kind of been really sad to watch the dissolution or like how it's been watered down and just what they're supposed to represent. And I get it, Young Justice kind of bumped up in popularity. So
great show.
But I still had Teen Titans Go. We still got Young Justice kind of blows that out the water. So it doesn't matter. But it's I don't know what they're doing with the Titans now is weird. And I just
it kind of feels like they don't know where they want to take them, and they've just felt like they've been in this like weird limbo place. So I feel like the Titans are the ones who really need a really big revamp and a push. Absolutely. And I think having a Titans Academy is the right way to kind of go. You bring in all these other characters and, cash in on people's faves being there and kind of give some people new characters a push. So we'll see what goes on with that. So
I guess
I'll be checking it out.
I guess I'll also definitely have to read this whole Frontier thing because we'll have to see how kind of DC once again resets their continuity to make everything work and fit. Because I've seen some images. I don't know if it was like death metal stuff or whatever, but like it had like various Titans from different eras, but it's also like these Titans don't exist in like the rebirth kind of world. So it's like I don't really We'll see what happens.
And it looked like Wonder Woman is going to become some like cosmic being or something like that, because there was this cover of her and the Spectre together, and we know he is like this big like being of like cosmic.
Oh yeah, she had on like the white, the green. Yeah, I did see that. Yeah, that was looking weird too. Maybe that's why
in the DC Frontier kind of artwork that they put out, she was just like in the background. I don't know if you saw that. Her face was like in the background of the sky. So I don't know what's going on with Wonder Woman, and like is she gonna become some like cosmic thing?
That'll be a different take for her. But we are getting Yara soon, so I guess they like.
That's true. And I'm ready to stand for her. So
okay, they said push the old lady out.
Yara's here to stay.
Okay, so I don't know. I was a little disappointed from the March list, and I've said it. We've seen a lot of the DC management taking on diversity in their ranks. They've been promoting a lot of Black people, a lot of women, things like that. And I really was expecting to kind of see a lot of that in March post Future State. I mean, I guess we still have time. April, May, June, all these months are coming. But there were just a lot of books. I was kind of expecting to see more like people of color, a little bit more diversity along the line. And it was still just like, oh no, here's Batman.
Yeah, and Superman in like the same the four characters, super characters. It was like it wasn't super diverse as they kind of thought that it was going to be. So
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we'll see.
Well, do
Hopefully.
you feel like there has to be certain characters on the Justice League or on like the Avengers? Because I recall a interview that Tom Brevoort over at Marvel had where he said that in order for there to be the Avengers, you have to have at least, I think he said 2 or 3 of the original members. So like the original characters have to be there. So for this Justice League that has, you know, Naomi and Hippolyta on it, do you
Yeah.
feel like there has to be certain characters on a team to make it feel like the actual team?
I think yes, but I don't think you need. I would say you only need maybe like one. Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. So I think I remember a similar interview that he did, and I think someone said like with the Avengers, it doesn't feel like the Avengers unless you have like Cap, Thor, and Iron Man on it. And I think that's like crazy because it's like no, maybe Cap, but like the other two not so much. Right. But like I think about the Justice League. The Justice League is different for me because it is so big on like the big 7, and like
that's true. Yeah,
Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Flash, Green Lantern, sometimes Martian Manhunter, sometimes Cyborg, and I guess now when I think about the Justice League, it is kind of hard to think about a team that doesn't have at least 2 to 3 of those members. Even I think of something like Justice League Detroit when that came out, like Aquaman was on that. Justice League International, like Batman will pop up every now and again. It's just kind of like DC has put such a big emphasis on those characters as leaguers that any type of league situation without them doesn't really feel like it. At least 1 or 2 of them. Even, what was that book? Justice League Odyssey. That didn't feel like a Justice League book.
Yeah. And when I mean, that was just because I don't think any of the
Cyborg was on it, but you know how everybody kind of goes back and forth with Cyborg and his league status anyway. So it didn't really feel like it. I think you kind of do have to have at least 1 or 2 of them.
Do you feel that same way about the X-Men? Like, I know some people feel like you can't have an X-Men team unless Cyclops is on it or Storm is on it or, Wolverine. Are there certain characters that you feel like have to be on the X-Men?
No. But that, I think, just because the X-Men is just so vast, I don't think we should have to be pigeonholed to like, oh, it's if Cyclops isn't on it, it's not the X-Men. It's like, girl, you know how many people lead this team? Cyclops might be the best leader. I'll give him that. Like, he might be the best leader, but it's like we got some people who can fill his shoes. It's cool.
Right. Yeah. I feel like certain plots probably have to have certain characters in them, obviously. But I feel like as far as team rosters go, I think you should be able to mix up the X-Men kind of as much as you want to because they are so vast. I think the Avengers and the Justice League are a little bit different. I think the Justice League, I think you at least have to have, I don't know if you have to have any of the Trinity in it, but I think you at least have to have 2 of the original members of the Justice League in it.
I can agree with that.
I know for a while that Marvel was kind of thinking that, sure, you have to have someone from the original roster, but they kind of went with the idea that you can have a member of the original members. So instead of, yes, you have a Captain America, but it's a Captain America. So it's Falcon as Captain America. Or,
that was a good era.
Do you have we can have Thor, but it's Jane Foster Thor, so I think they tried to at least try to switch it up.
No, and I agree with that. I can see it too, like you said. I think the Avengers and the Justice League, they're kind of more staples with their characters, or they have more staples with their characters. So it's like, yeah, when you get them, you have to have a certain type of feeling. So it's like, whereas the X-Men and some other teams don't have that. So it's like you can put anybody there. I even think about like with the Titans. The Titans kind of gotten to a point where you can put anybody on there. And I think that is also a little reason why it feels watered down, because it doesn't have that foundation.
Yeah. I feel like the Titans, I do think you have to have one of the original members there, because one of them has to be the one kind of still carrying that torch. Exactly. And it's either, Nightwing or
Donna.
or Donna
Oh,
or Starfire. Now I think they're kind of having Starfire be the one to still kind of carry that torch.
yeah,
But that for her feels a little weird.
it does.
I don't know. I'm not really completely sold on her just being like the we have to beat Titans and she's kind of the one leading that front. I do think that
It,
she'd be down for the cause, obviously, but I don't know.
I think Johns during his Titans run was kind of the one who got it right with her on the league, where it's like she's trying, but she should also really be struggling. Like they've kind of made her like this mother hen, and it's like that's not who Starfire is.
Yeah, that's what it is. I don't really think of her as this like mother hen character for a bunch of the
It,
Teen Titans.
it's like no, she will rip your throat out.
Yes, with the training she learned from the Warlords of Okara.
It's like, what are you gonna do? It's like here we are. So yeah, it's weird. I think some teams you do have to have specific characters, others not so much.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's kind of the discussion that I wanted to have right there and see what people thought. And if anybody else has any ideas of certain characters they feel have to be on teams, let us know. Send us your thoughts on it, because I think it's a pretty good discussion.
That is. I enjoy that. Thank you.
Let's take a break and then we'll come back for that rewatch of Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman. And we are back for another rewatch.
Yeah, so this time we are doing Wonder Woman, the first movie, and I liked it. What did you think?
Okay, you liked it.
I liked it. Yeah,
it's entertaining.
I like Wonder Woman. I'm a fan of hers, and this was her first movie.
Mm-hmm.
She'd never been on the big screen before. I was super excited. I remember when this was coming out. I think it came out in 2018, directed by Patty Jenkins. And I remember being super excited about the first Wonder Woman movie. And for me, like as a whole, I thought the film was well done. It was beautiful shots. The supporting cast was fantastic. Robin Wright is amazing.
The Amazons were like they cast them wonderfully.
Yeah, I loved how diverse the island was. Like I loved that they didn't make this all a bunch of white women frolicking on this island. I appreciated that they didn't do that. I thought the effects for the most part looked great. The story was fine. I'm a fan of, I know some people aren't, but I'm a fan of Diana being more connected to the like Greek pantheon and her having Zeus as her dad.
See, I actually like the made of clay origin.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why?
You know me, I'm a magic guy.
Magic.
I'm a magic guy.
Of course, and I prefer the science. The card, she was born from something.
I just kind of love that like mystical element to it. And I kind of also enjoy the fact that she didn't have to be tied to a man to exist.
Yeah.
Especially in this world of Amazons, which is all about, the women and the unity, and that's all there is. I enjoyed it. It's like, oh, this is how they brought up this new life and like made it real or whatever. And so once Zeus came along, it was just like, oh, it's just a man.
Coming and ruining something. I know how that goes. I feel like with her and being like kind of born from like this affair basically of Zeus and her mother.
Yeah,
that kind of adds a little spice to her story, if that makes sense, because it gives it, now her mother like lied to her, kind of like, she grew up having one idea of who her mother was and how just and truthful she was and how she was born of clay and she's been living one life and that wasn't the truth. And I feel like that adds a little bit of weight to her relationship with her mother, but I see what you mean. The clay stuff is also cool.
But I can respect that. And I think even in like Wonder Woman's books, when it's done well, when they add in the Greek pantheon, I think about Brian Azzarello. He did a run of Wonder Woman and he kind of really leaned into the pantheon, the Greek gods, and like even the new gods side. And it was just like really well done. And so it adds a lot to her story. And I think that's good for Wonder Woman because she's a person who I don't really think has too much to go on, especially when it comes to like rogues and people she can fight and all of that. It's just like there's not too much there. So at least with the Greek pantheon, you're always going to be able to give her something.
Yeah, you get a little bit of something. I feel like with this movie, the little girl who plays like young Diana was adorable.
She's so cute.
So
she's,
cute,
like, running around the island.
Yeah, it's so cute. Trying to like avoid going to these classes or whatever. Too cute. She wants to learn how to fight already. Only, you know, Diana would see a sword called God Killer and want to have it for herself.
Like, need that.
I mean, same.
I relate.
You know, and then we see her going through this like training and growing up, and all the Amazons
training scenes were fantastic. Like this movie had some really good fight choreography. Like that team stunts, those stunt women, they did that.
I remember they said that they got a bunch of like Olympians, like actual like Olympians. Really? Yeah, a lot of these fighters and a lot of these stunt people were actual like big time like gold medal winning like women.
Shout out to them.
Yeah, I think a lot of the like archers and stuff were like from the Olympics. Like they all were these amazing warrior women. I believe the woman who played I think Persephone, I think was the main woman, the general. She was like, I think she's like a big boxer. Like I think she's like a known like boxer. So
I'm into it.
Badass women.
You know, a warrior woman. I'm all about it. You know that. I'm here for it. That was cool.
Yeah, and they were like kicking ass all on this island. So I was living. I also want, you know, that top and skirt. so I can go out there and start flipping and kicking ass.
Do you like Gal as Wonder
Woman? You know, she is sure. You know, I think Gal is gorgeous, beautiful woman. I think that she really puts her all into the stunts that she does. You know, as soon as she appeared in this training scene where she's like fighting and they're like kind of testing out her abilities, you believe that she's like Wonder Woman. You believe that she's out there fighting and like putting forth her full weight into these fight scenes. Some of the acting in it left a little to be desired. You know, I think that some of the delivery of the lines were a little, you know, sure. But you know, I felt like for the most part, she's fine as
I can say that. I do wish they weren't afraid to kind of dirty her up a little bit. I especially think of like the No Man's Land scene, and she's like going through this field and all this stuff. It's
makeup face was beat.
You know, it's just like we get it. Like she is a beautiful woman, but it's like she's in the middle of a fight. Like don't be afraid to throw some dirt on her face, like cut her up a little bit, like but because that's what you expect from Wonder Woman. Like she is going to be in this battle, like doing all this stuff. So you kind of expect her to get a little messy. I hope that's something they kind of do for the second 84.
Yeah, we'll see what's going on in 1984 next week. But I think with this one, I think that were some things that were done with Wonder Woman that were better than others. I thought that, you know, when she left the island and kind of was on the boat with with Steve, I thought her rapport with Steve was really fun. I thought they have like really cute moments.
They have really good chemistry. I actually enjoyed them together a lot. And then when they added in Etta Candy.
Yes, you gotta love her, right? Etta's so much fun.
Etta was great. Etta was probably like one of my favorite things about this movie.
Yes, and so she's currently in like Wonder Woman books. I haven't really kept up with where she is now, but where I left off with Wonder Woman, there wasn't a current Etta Candy in our current time, but she is a Black woman and a lesbian, and she's a lot of fun. Yeah, and I think there's supposed to be some kind of like, I don't know how they explain like the name or like if she's like a descendant of hers or something like that. I don't know what's going on there. Okay. Etta is a lot of fun. She was a lot of fun in this movie. You know, she let people know that she was a secretary, and Wonder Woman was like, that sounds like slavery. Working for a man? No.
It's like, no, okay. I relate to that as well.
Same, yeah. And all of the like kind of fish out of water moments that she kind of played up in this as she was making her way through London with Steve were really cute. I do think that this movie kind of highlighted one thing that I don't like about Wonder Woman, and it is her rogues gallery. She needs small. Some better villains.
Yeah.
You know, and I do know the take of Wonder Woman, how she, you know, she takes care of her villains. She has no problem, you know, snapping a neck.
And you know, let's talk about that really quick, because I know they say that like, or that line's been spewed a lot, but does she really? Outside of maybe like Maxwell Lord when she snapped his neck, it's like Diana, like Cheetah is still running around like nobody's business.
Fair, yes.
You know, Giganta is out there, Cersei is out there, and I think the thing about Wonder Woman is, one, her rogues gallery isn't that big to begin with, and I don't necessarily think it's because she's like taking care of everybody. I think she gets to those points where she will. Again, like the Maxwell Lord situation is something that, you know, was a big deal when she killed him. But again, like that was she had no other choice. And
yeah, she had no other choice, yeah.
But it's like all these other villains, I don't think she'd be taking them out like that.
She's been serving a little bit of mercy lately, you know.
And so I guess when I hear that, it's just also kind of, okay, she has all these rogues or these villains who she just takes out with no problem. It's like, so who do you eventually give her to fight? And that's why I think I've said this to you before. I kind of feel like having Diana be like this super all-powerful demigod and this like supreme battle master is a bit of a mistake. It's like you have to give me one or the other, because you get to this point with her where it's like, who does she fight? She has no one to fight because she's just like overpowering them and slitting their throats. And it's like, okay, right, cool, but then what?
It's no fun if you're always going to win. You know, there's not really much of a story there, which is probably why in this post, you know, DC Infinite era that they're kind of bringing up now is probably where she might be going cosmic, and maybe that's probably why they're taking her on with the Spectre and do whatever she's going to do there. Because if you can't beat everybody on Earth, then it's time for you to go someplace else.
Yeah. and especially you running around on the Justice League.
Right.
Like, it's just not going to work, sister. So I agree with the whole like villains thing. I think she needs a big update on them.
Yeah, because Dr. Poison in this isn't that threatening and
at all.
You know, it's like, okay, who gives a damn? In this movie, she was like walking through the poison villages that, like, you know, Dr. Poison let poison off, and it was nothing.
Exactly. It's just like, what is the point?
And it's not like Dr. Poison has like super strength or her own abilities. She's just a chemist. So
yeah.
So once Diana kicks the canister of poison away, then what? You know. So I felt like this film kind of highlighted a little bit of one of the things I don't like about Wonder Woman is that that's her rogues gallery. But
yeah,
you know, as the film went on and we kind of saw the things that I do like about her, and that's how much she beats ass.
Okay, she's a fighter.
One thing about Wonder Woman is she's gonna beat your ass. She went through that whole like village, that whole no man land scene is like iconic.
That was great. They were on one that day on filming. I don't know what they like ate, smoked, drank, but everybody came to work.
For sure. And the way that she just like walked across that entire field and was deflecting bullets and then you know, missiles thrown at her, and she was kicking ass.
Still looking good.
Still looking fantastic, you know, hair running through, flowing through the wind as she ran. And when she jumped through that building and, you know, beat everyone's ass there, I remember being in the movie theater and being really shocked when they shown her flipping that tank over.
The tank.
Mostly because I think that was the first time in a while for me that I had really noticed a woman being super strong on film. They never show them being like that strong, you know.
Yeah.
You know, lifting up a tank or something. If anything, it may be like they'll lift someone up in front of them or like a person, but never like anything that big. So I thought that was really cool that they didn't
shy
downplay how
away.
strong she actually is.
I agree with that. That was really well done. It had a good musical score as well. I don't know if you like are really into musical scores, but I am, and so I just know that No Man's Land scene. After seeing that in the theater, I was like listening to it in the gym. Like once the soundtrack dropped, because I was, and it was like pumping me up, because again I was just like thinking about this scene and like all this stuff, and like you said, the deflection of the bullets and her just running around. I was just like, yeah, like this is it. And
maybe
so that
I need to do that next time I go to the gym.
You know, I tell people, I don't think a lot of people realize like how much like that music enhances the movie for you. It's like, to bring up a DC movie, Aquaman. I did not enjoy that music at all. And I think about like some of the scenes.
Like the Pitbull?
You know, and so it's like, I think about how so many of my moments of enjoyment of the movie, it's kind of like, oh my gosh, like Pitbull was now just yelling at me like this is horrible, versus like a No Man's Land scene, like this orchestra is just like pumping me up, because I'm thinking I'm in the gym lifting something up, and here I'm pretending like I'm on a battlefield. It's like, it's great.
Like Wonder Woman.
Okay, and it's boots and all.
Yes. Did you like the way that she uses her lasso in this? Are you a fan of the way that she kind of uses it more like a whip in her battles?
Yeah, because I'm not really into the whole lasso thing, to be perfectly honest.
I think it's all right. I think it's a cool little tool that she can kind of use. I like the way that she uses it to pull people towards her and kick them. You know, that's always fun. But for the most part, it's just kind of a cute little fun accessory. Yeah. I saw that, you know, in this next sequel, she's going to actually also use her tiara as the boomerang. Now that one I think is a little.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, it's gonna be.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. they're bringing that back. I think that they're gonna hit on a lot of like, you know, Easter eggy kind of things that Wonder Woman can do. So we'll see what kind of goes on with that in the sequel. So for the most part, this film was a lot of fun for me. The third act, you know, as we build up towards this point in the movie, is kind of where things got a little.
It gets a little rough. So you know, it's actually funny. Patty Jenkins just did like an interview, and IGN posted it, and she was saying that apparently the third act was supposed to be small scale, but WB made her change it at the last minute. And so she's always kind of agreed with the criticism that's come out about the third act of the film.
Okay, interesting.
And WB is always messing with something, you know?
You know, there's a lot of studio meddling that goes in that ends up ruining a lot of these superhero movies.
Like, they need to sit down and just let these people tell their stories. But yeah, so
just cut them the check and let them go. Like
it's all right. They're good at their job. I promise you. You hired them.
Exactly. They're probably under this weird, you know, idea that all superhero movies have to end in this big CGI 3D like big fight thing.
And it was just a digital mess.
Yes.
Like, you know, I did enjoy the whole part about, you know, Diana kind of realizing about the flaws of humanity. I thought the aspect of Ares kind of pulling the strings behind the scenes was cool. I do like Ares as a villain, but that CGI in that battle, it was just
the things that they were just kind of throwing at each other. It looked like they were just in a room, in a big green screen room, yelling at each other from across the room.
It was a little messy there. So, but overall, I agree. It's a fun, entertaining movie. I think, like you said, Gal is fine as Diana. I don't know if I'm excited for 1984 anymore.
Anything you're looking forward to in it? Like, what are you?
I am excited to see Cheetah. I do want to see Cheetah.
Okay, are you a Cheetah fan?
I am a Cheetah fan. So I'm okay. I just keep thinking about that scene they showed of her running.
As Cheetah? Like on all fours?
No, I'm talking about Wonder Woman.
Oh.
That little clip. Yeah, that, like every time I think about 1984, I just think about that clip. And so it's like I'm like, all right, where are we at right? But I am really excited to see Cheetah. And I think the kind of like sneak reveal they showed in one of the trailers, I feel like there's going to be more. Like she'll get another form also. I don't know why. I just feel that way.
I feel like there will be some interesting things going on in this next movie. I hope we get to find out how Steve Rogers, is that his last name? Rogers? Yeah.
No, that's Captain America.
Oh, my God. My fault. I got these white boys mixed up. My fault.
Steve Trevor.
Steve Trevor, my fault. Damn, they do kind of look alike though.
And they're both played, and they're both their actors' name are Chris.
Yeah, so my fault. I do want to see like how Steve Trevor gets brought back to life. I don't know how they're gonna like work that into the story.
You think it's original Steve?
I do. So I've heard rumors about like what the story is here.
Okay.
And what the plot is and how Maxwell Lord is tied into all of this and the things that he is kind of fulfilling for people. And I'm wanting to know how that's actually going to play out in a film. Some of the stuff that I've heard about this will like, it sounds about right as far as like movies go, you know? I'm sorry, it sounds right for comics, but not for a movie.
Oh, okay.
You know?
Okay.
Spoiler alert. If you don't want to know what the spoiler is, fast forward but I'm going to tell you what the spoiler is right now. So like in the next one, there's supposed to be something where Maxwell Lord has this monkey paw kind of thing where he can like grant a wish. And one of the wishes that he grants Diana is to bring back Steve.
Oh.
So like and one of the things that he wished for himself was like I think he only gets like a few wishes. One of the things he wished for himself was like I think to like become this like big like figure.
I did not even know that I feel like I don't know anything about this movie. I'm not gonna lie to you. And I feel like every time I watch the trailer, I'm still just kind of left thinking like I don't know what this movie is supposed to be about. So this is all very interesting information for me.
Yeah.
And
so
I appreciate you letting me know this because now I feel like, okay, like I can kind of go into it like a little bit excited about something. Like there seems to be some interesting things here. It's really just been like Cheetah and that clip I saw of her running. And it's
yeah. So that's kind of what I heard as far as Maxwell Lord's involvement there. And obviously with monkey paw wishes and stuff, there's always something that goes wrong with that. So something is going to be going wrong with the way that Steve comes back, and I'm sure he'll have to like go away or something like that. So I've seen stuff done like that done in comics, but I've never really seen that done in a movie.
When it's been done in a comic, did you enjoy it?
I mean, it's okay. I'm okay with those. I mean, those stories are okay with me because they are you know what you're getting into. You know, you made the wish, now you have to reap what you sown, kind of thing. But and usually with those, I'm more interested in whatever happens with the characters involved. But I'm not sure if there were enough characters involved in the first one that are coming back in this one for me to care about everybody's wishes that they're making. You know, it's just Diana.
That is true.
She doesn't really have like a big supporting cast around her where I could say, oh, okay, cool. Well, how is that going to affect so-and-so? There is no Etta Candy. You know, that was in the past. Gone. Yeah.
Do you think that we'll get a third Wonder Woman film, or do you think this will kind of cap it?
I think that they'll probably give a third one just to have a trilogy. You know, I feel like there's a thing amongst these superhero movies where everything sounds like a trilogy. Yeah, so I feel like they'll probably be done with it after
and then do you think we'll still get Patty back? Because, she's got her little Star Wars check now.
That's right. She does have a Star Wars check where she's going to be doing a movie on the Rebel Squadron, which is exciting. So, and I'm sure that check was nice. Probably nice enough for her not to even want to come back to Warner Brothers, considering that, they told her to limit her to go a different route with her last movie. And now with this movie, she's probably not getting the type of release that she wants to have, you know, with everything going on HBO Max. So I think they probably maybe they might have a contract with her. If they don't have a contract with her, I could probably see Patty not coming back.
I wonder what a Patty-less Wonder Woman will be like.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see how someone else could kind of take on that.
And I'm conflicted because I would like to also still see if Patty like planned on making this a trilogy, I would still like to see like her full story and like kind of how she ends it off. But also, like you kind of said, if they haven't already entered into some kind of contract, I don't really know if I see her coming back with everything.
Exactly.
We'll see.
And I feel like they're at a place right now with their movies where they're kind of letting everything be off in their own like universes, and they'll tie over if they need to.
Yeah.
So they're probably gonna be done with anything Zack Snyder related soon. So they're probably just gonna usher this on out, you know.
I wonder how they're gonna kind of start handling those things, because I feel like I don't know, maybe the Snyder Cut release of Justice League is gonna kind of reboot the Snyderverse in a sense. I'm hoping it does not. But you know, we've already got like Robert Pattinson as Batman. I wonder when we'll start to see like the next versions of Aquaman and Wonder Woman and like those movies and things coming out. Because I don't know how long their contracts were. I feel like some of them already ran out, didn't they?
Yeah, a lot of them really ran out already. And I think because the DC actors weren't signed on to these movies like the way that the Marvel actors were. A lot of the DC actors were signed on for like that film and a sequel. It wasn't, whereas in, you know, with the MCU, they sign on for, you know, 6 movies and the crossover.
Okay.
they got you locked down. So I think with a lot of these films, these actors they're pretty much done. And that probably just kind of shows you a little test of where the DC plans were versus the Marvel plans. They kind of already knew that they were going to do a whole connected universe where it's like, hey, you have to sign on to this and be signed on to this. I recall some actors on the Marvel side, I think, were hesitant about taking their roles because they didn't want to be on that role for 18 movies.
Okay, they said you're not locking me down.
Right, but I'm sure that check changed a lot of their minds. So
okay,
but whereas DC is like, we don't even really know. We just know right now we want to do this one movie and maybe a sequel if it's big enough. And they kind of just go on from there.
Kind of crazy, especially with all the things they continue to announce coming out.
I know. And things they've already announced that we've never even heard stuff about yet. Like,
whatever happened to the Batgirl movie?
Whatever happened to that Nightwing movie? I want my Nightwing movie.
Well, I remember someone asked Ava on Twitter about a New Gods update, and she just said something about like how she was still working with Tom King and like getting into his mind. I was like, so no update on the movie.
So basically, that sounds like they have gone back and forth like 3 times on Slack.
Okay, it's just like, hey, do you know if this is still happening?
Right. I think they still need some kind of solidified plan, but I'm excited for Wonder Woman 1984 next week. Some of my excitement is to see how this whole like launch of a streaming movie first kind of goes, you know?
Yeah, I'm excited for that as well.
This is the first time that they're kind of really doing this whole in theaters and on streaming at the same time deal.
I'm really interested to see how it works. And it's only going to be on streaming for like a month, correct? And then they take it off.
Then they take it off, And I think the next movie on their list will be put up there. So
wow, this is going to be fun. I'm excited to watch it. Are you going to live tweet?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. We'll definitely be live tweeting from the account. So all you guys should kind of check in and see if you also liking 1984 next Friday on December 25th.
If there was a trilogy, you know, Gal does her 3rd movie, would you be ready for them to recast Wonder Woman then? Maybe should she appear as Wonder Woman still in like other people's movies for a little bit longer?
I think she can still kind of appear in other stuff as Wonder Woman a little bit longer, but confined to the, like, whatever they're doing with the Snyderverse stuff over there, she can stay over there, like, be the Wonder Woman in that like world.
Yeah.
If they are going to start a Wonder Woman corner of the DC films or whatever, like if they kind of like revamp everything and say, hey, we're gonna do our own like multiverses of stuff, and the Wonder Woman is gonna have her own corner with a bunch of different movies underneath her banner, then give me a whole new Wonder Woman and just start fresh.
Okay.
For sure.
I can agree with that.
All right. Well, you guys, I hope you guys liked the film. I hope you guys were enjoying this another rewatch. Thank you so much for watching.
Thanks to all the people who watched with us and like tweeted with us. It was great. It was a really fun time.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Check us out next week while we are tweeting along with Wonder Woman 1984. That should be a lot of fun to stream. And that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you so much. You can find us on Twitter at Another Relaunch. You can find us, also shoot us emails about questions, concerns, whatever kind of things you guys have. If you have your own relaunches you want to send us, you guys want to relaunch your own characters, you have ideas and stuff, let us know. We can read those on air. You can find me at UncannyLZ on most social media platforms. Keenan, where can they find you?
You can find me at Keenan Lance with an underscore at the end.
All right, I like that that's finally all one thing now.
I know, right?
That's great. It's so simple. All right, guys, thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.